Okay, so this cake, Banzhang Zhengshan, Zhengshan meaning the middle of the mountain. So the super famous village is Old Banzhang, Lao Banzhang, and king of pu'er. So the idea is that the material is so strong. The area around Lao Banzhang is called Banzhang. So this tea is called middle of the mountain in Banzhang. So I think I don't know exactly what to make of that. Somebody's selling it as if it was the same thing as Lao Banzhang. Anyway, the character is there. And the character, I would define it as, well, when it's young, very bitter, very strong. And when it ages, it still has a lot of power. I mean, obviously the bitterness has been very well transformed, particularly in the version four of us had. But there still is some boldness and strength to it that a tea from another area wouldn't have. I had a very young Banzhang the other day, and it was so strong. It was so bitter. It was 2017, and it was really like I'm defeated. Not in a bad way that a young plantation tea would, but just in a, this is very strong. And what we just drank is what happens when this strength ages. This particular tea has been aged quite, again, the version four of us had has been aged quite aggressively. There's even a little bit of storage taste, aftertaste. And it's quite dark. I have to say, I used a new kit, so I was really confused. Like it was interesting because this really shook my usual understanding of what I know very well what I'm doing. I am trying to get the tea to be a certain way, but with completely random kits. I mean, I can't even see the color of the liquid in here. It's it was a nice lesson about just accepting whatever is coming. Felt very calm at first, quite immediately, very hit by tea and very calm, very like. Even now, I can just feel it in my body. It's not, well, it's not as overwhelmingly strong as other times I had this tea, but it's definitely noticeable in the body for quite a long time. What else can I say? Yeah, I guess my personal preference is a slightly more dry stored tea than this. I like the really intense strength, but that's quite a bit of an acquired taste, I think. Certainly for me, it was an acquired taste. For most of my tea drinking career, I would have preferred this version, which is much softer and tamed. Yeah, strong aftertaste, a little bit of storage flavor, is a tiny bit of astringency, tiny bit, and maybe sourness. But mostly I can feel the smell and the taste of the tea in my mouth, even though I was using random kit and not kit made it to be as thick and aftertasty as possible. Yeah, in general, I feel quite settled, quite centered. I had quite a bit of sadness before starting, and that's kind of there, but still okay as well. Yeah, that's both the introduction and my experience of it, this experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question, when you were talking about the characters, middle of the mountain, do you think that might refer to the elevation?
I think middle of the mountain usually means something like we would call it Banzhang proper or Yiwu proper, as opposed to outside areas. I think that's what it means, Una?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in a way, it's a way of indicating quality, as is to say, you know, we didn't get this from border side areas, but from the middle of Banzhang. That's what that would mean.
And also can understand it like authentically from Banzhang area.
Hmm.
I took it in more of a Lord of the Rings kind of way. The dwarves inside the mountain with axes smashing.
Okay, middle of the mountain, inside the mountain. Yeah,
I-
not at the top, but in the middle.
Yeah.
I had a great time with this tea. Again, Paulo, hats off. I mean, find fabulous teas. You say it was light and soft for you. Flavor, yeah, soft, but I gave myself a Buckminster sized dose. Because I thought, okay, let's go. And I had a hard time, all over the place getting in because I was just like frustrated by the technology not allowing me to get in and all of that kind of stuff. And then it's like, okay, well, what's going on here? And I was embodied for a while, and then after about 45 minutes, suddenly it was like went through a time shift. Another 20 minutes went by, but it was only 6 minutes. And it was like, whoa, what's going on with this tea? And then it's like every tooth in my head was buzzing, and I suddenly had a need for seatbelts. And very strong, yet really a really good strength, like you're saying, softer, tamed. It wasn't like I was being chopped up with a chainsaw. This is a very good tea, very strong, very bold, and but I didn't find it soft. I really like the flavor too. I like the punch of this, the boldness, the smoky and the fullness of the flavor. I don't find it bitter. I just find it a tea that I will love. Yeah, that's what I think. And then it was like, and then that feeling of universal joy of being alive. Oh, it's like, wow, how does that happen? Yeah, that's my experience with the tea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Hmm.
I should have said, I think mine was soft because I used a quite huge teapot.
Oh, really? That will do it.
Well, yeah, because there's less tea there's less tea per the water, so.
Did you put tea in that pot, or did you have tea in your gongfu pot, or both?
I put tea in this pot, and then I wanted to round it up a bit, so I used this gongfu pot like a pitcher.
Oh, okay.
I can share next. So I've been reducing the intake of caffeine recently, so it's my first tea today, and yes, it did a good job for me because I just experienced some headache this morning. Yeah, it's just like it gave me an instant calmness. Although I was listening to you guys talking and they not jumped in, but it was like, oh, immediately. Yeah, it made me immediately enter into the stillness. The tea is thick and rich, and I noticed the mineral floating on the surface from the first to the last cup, so which was quite good to me. And I only put 5 grams in this small teapot. I found it quite long lasting, although the last 2 cups I did push it a little bit and I brewed it longer. But yeah, this tea made me observe my body more in details. So I've been practicing this fundamental consciousness as Dana recommended. So yeah, I'm trying to focus on whatever body parts. I mean, the movement of each of my body, and yeah, I noticed it quite well that the chi flowing through my body. Yeah, it was more obvious than any other experience before. I'm feeling really warm in my body right now, and there was some astringency left on my tongue, but not really obvious, and it's totally acceptable. And yeah, overall, this tea gave me this groundedness feeling, and just feeling really settled. And yeah, I reflected the similar things um, like accepting things happen in life or in tea, other than choosing things to do. Because in the past 30 years or so in my life, everything was like well planned. And yeah, I always tend to choose things wisely, what to do and what to buy and what work I do, this kind of things. But now I'm quite happy that I'm living in an unplanned life, and it seems quite fulfilling to me that I don't have to wrap up what I've done today. Yeah, it's quite satisfying, and I'm quite surprised though. Yeah, and again, really, really grateful to have tea with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Thank
Thank you.
you. I guess I can share now. So this is my third sit with this tea. I had a couple this week. I was quite excited to try it. Today I was taking some pictures because I the other two sits, I couldn't figure out when the coloring was changing because I would just drink like kettle after kettle and I was like, oh, it's just all of a sudden yellow. So it was like I took two pictures, or I took a picture of the first bowl and the second cup, and I took a picture of the fifth cup and the sixth cup, and then I guess the ninth cup too, where it kind of tapered out into yellow. But it was quite like orange, amber, the first two cups, and then after giving it a space of 2 cups and then taking a picture of the following 2 cups, it was quite a bit different. And I noticed in the flavor profile, probably about the fourth cup was like really, really nice. I would say the first 2 cups, there was a little bit of bitterness and astringency, not much though, still like a very smooth tea, but that initial taste, and it may be probably the strength I made it. If I had to guess, I'd say it was about 5 grams, but I didn't weigh it and I haven't weighed the previous sits I've had, so I can't be sure on that. I noticed being able to get into a meditative state very easily, and kind of all of these things that are going on for me this weekend kind of floating around my head just seem to kind of fit into position better, and I could see them with greater clarity. Yeah, and a very nice kind of body feeling. Um, I had an interesting experience. I think probably around not bowl, cup 6 or something like that. My fridge started leaking, and I was like, oh, so I had to like get up and like clean that up. It tends to do that like every maybe once a year or something like that. There'll be like half a liter of water come out of it from somewhere. I'm not sure why, but um, I guess that just had to happen this morning. Um, yeah, I'm really grateful for this tea. I find it um, grounding, centering. I find it quite smooth too, like very smooth, and like I can keep going and going. And what I noticed with my other sits and starting to with this one as well is like I don't know if it's maybe the storage or something, but the darkness of the color tends to once it dissipates, it kind of keeps this yellow tinge to it, and that'll stay. Like I could probably go through another kettle and it would not change much. And yeah, I really appreciate this tea, and I'm grateful. I'm sure my friend Matt will also be grateful because I picked up a cake for him as well. And um, yeah, and also I love the Brady Bunch squares. I love having tea with other people virtually. It's quite a blessing. So thank you.
I guess it's my turn.
Unless you put 50 grams and you're too high to speak.
Well, actually, I was being modest this time, and I put in 5 grams, and I'm still too high to speak. Yeah, this I was telling Paulo before we started that like I don't know, just the generally drier storage teas get me a lot, or I don't know, like I guess it's just the strong bold ones, because this is like whoa. Yeah, I mean, taste wise it was really interesting. It was like I was like trying to figure it out, and then I landed on like artichoke, but like not artichoke hearts, but like the leaf of artichoke, like you're like scraping it off, and then like butter, and but then there was this emergent sweetness that came around, like other people were saying, that was really nice, like, and surprising. The first few I thought it was going to be like, okay, this is just going to be like sort of up in my head and really amped and supercharged and just like buzzy. And then yeah, as the tea went on, it was like sweeter and really relaxing. I found myself like going a lot. And eventually like it went from there were various changes in taste happening, and then the taste kind of like just stayed consistent, and then I was able to stay in my body more. And yeah, there was this resonant, like kind of every other pot there just seemed to be this resonant like just clarity and stability in my body. I would like find it within myself physically, and there would just be like this consistent glow. And then other times it would sort of scatter around, and I found that it was consistent with where my attention was. So with this tea, it was very like laser pointed in a sense. Like I could either just tune out and just be spacey, or like hone in, like very focused. And it was kind of a trippy experience in that way. And yeah, like here I'm starting at 6:30 in the morning, so it was like really dark at first, and I, 2 pots in, I felt like it was noon for me. Just wing! Like, so yeah, razor sharp tea, very clear and bright, but not overstimulating. Like everything about it felt like it was building up to being overstimulating, and then it just was blissful and like here I am. And yeah, it wasn't like other teas where everything just like other very meditative teas where everything seemed to just disappear, as much as I felt like I could approach one thing at a time really efficiently. it wasn't a wandering tea as much as a like uber present tea. So yeah, and I think Paulo was saying that the one that I have was much more dry stored. Yeah. So I don't know, like, yeah, I'm definitely excited to compare. And yeah, this is like, yeah, if this was dry stored, like I was definitely, I'm impressed. I'm starting to like see the value of it. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting hearing everyone else's description of it. Like, it didn't really get dark for me, for example, but it did get deeper. Like I think the chi of it was maybe more similar than the general like taste and consistency that you guys had. Anyway, yeah, really like impressed with this tea, and the more I let go, last thing, the more I let go, the more like, both in my mind and my body. Like if I let go of a tight area in my body, I just felt things like open up and get warm, circulate everywhere. And same in my mind, as soon as I let go, it was just like so freeing and just, yeah, pleasant and crisp. So thank you, Paulo, for the expertly procurement. Words are weird right now, but yeah, thank you, and thank you all for joining at this time. I'm really liking this.
Thank you. I'm very grateful, actually. Yeah.